Magic is chaos, right? So I wonder if either of these two lads could be potentially corrupted. Anyway, let's not think too hard about that. Instead, let's look at what is facing this absolutely beautiful Empire build here. No caster, Karl Franz. We got Black Lions, the Hellblaster Chariot, and a Luminark. So all in for the wagon shooting. No actual wagons, just the elite wagon shooting. Couple Pistoliers, Flagellants, Swordsmen, Spearmen, Royal Altar Fights in the back. So an interesting build, definitely a ladder build. As the Luminark blasts in, we see Archaon here. This is a replay from Way, who you guys have been seeing on the channel lately quite a bit. He's taking Archaon here up against, I'm not going to call it Rancid Cheese, but yeah, it's an interesting build. I have actually done similar things to this in the past for mean value, so I can't really criticize too much. But Horsemasters, Horsemen, we've got 3 Horsemasters and 1 Horseman. You can really tell the difference between these guys because the Horsemasters have capes, you see. And actually, I think a greater percentage of them are wearing helmets as well, I want to say. But yeah, Horsemaster is actually probably one of the best skirmish cav in the game. Meanwhile, the Luminark is a unit that is incredibly niche. Not super reliable shooting, can sometimes, I don't know if it still does this as much, but can sometimes go 360 no-scope and shoot off into space if you're switching targets while it's winding up. But here, comes in, one-shots the Hell Cannon, so that's already a pretty good amount of value right there, paying for itself. Also just netted Archaon, who's getting blasted by the Black Lions. Franz, though, dives in here, gets caught up in the Horsemasters, and the Horsemen getting filled with javelins. So a very early kind of pitched Lord engagement here. Everyone's getting lit up. And look at that. What did I say about Chaos Corruption? That Luminark just kills both of them. And, you know, no one will ever know, probably, because they were blasting Archaon, right? Franz just happened to be there. So, kind of messed up, you know, given that Karl Franz's name is all over this wagon here. It's like on the floor right there. It even says Emperor Karl Franz on the side. I don't know if you guys can see that very well while it's moving. It's got like a KF here. Really, really just messed up. But anyway, chaos is chaos, as they say. Now it's going to be up to these Horsemasters to see if they can counter the Pistoliers, the Demis, and these wagons as the infantry just tries to grind through. There's a lot of infantry here, some spawns, the Warriors, the Marauders. Will definitely win this infantry fight, but it's all a matter of what will the shooting wagons do. If the shooting wagons go too much after the horsemen, it's kind of weird because the horsemen and the horsemasters are like not as high value as the spawn, right? And not even as, I guess, about the same value as the Chaos Warriors, so it's tough to know what to shoot at. But from a tactical perspective, like, you get rid of these horsemasters, these wagons will be able to operate a little bit more freely. Same thing with the Demis. You can see Demis come in here, take a face full of javelins. One of the things that makes javelin cavalry for Norskin, for Chaos, so good is they have good AP values without being quote-unquote armor-piercing, right? Like the throwing axes actually have shields, which is a benefit to them, but they do have quite a bit lower range, and Horsemasters, of course, only available to the Warriors of Chaos, have more armor, better charge, more, they just have more stuff, more weapon damage. Actually, very good kind of hybrid melee missile cavalry, considering their missile attack is so strong. It's up there with Pistoliers in terms of DPS, because again, Javelin's great AP and just great overall damage with the nice refire rate. They're going to come in here and just keeps counter-skirmishing, and from Way's perspective, he's got to do his best to try and keep these guys alive into the late game. We've already generated some really nice value helping to take out Franz there. They're definitely going to be needed against these wagons. Question is, do the wagons actually have enough ammo to get through all of this HP, especially as this infantry fight's going to be pretty one-sided. I mean, the Spearmen will kind of win against the spawn. Flagellants are doing good against Marauders. But other than that, it's looking a little bit tough on that front. The Demigryph Knights also, Royal Altar Fights with no healing all by themselves, are very expensive and relatively squishy. I mean, the armor is nice, but again, decent AP on the Horsemasters means they'll do damage over time. And yeah, I mean, low model count, no missile block chance on the Halberd Demigryph Knights. They are quite vulnerable. Melee attack, or sorry, melee defense also isn't amazing, and they're not going to be super efficient against all this armored infantry either. They'll do damage and be able to terrify them potentially, but it's not going to be nearly as efficient as the Lance Demis. Here, though, they get a nice net, take out that unit of Horsemasters, so in terms of targeting priority, the Empire is cleaning up the units that they need to. The question is, again, this infantry, Like there, that shot was pretty lackluster, and Luminark doesn't have a ton of ammo. Tempelhof Luminark recently had a bit of a change in that its net now doesn't have a minimum cast distance, which is pretty nice. I don't know, it does make the Tempelhof Luminark a little bit less of a meme. Luminarks in general, I feel, they're interesting, you know. There are situations where you could argue they're very, very strong, maybe even overpowered. A lot of the time, though, if your opponent has the right tools to deal with them, they will lose you the game, because their shots are not 100% reliable. They don't have a lot of ammo, and you're literally paying for the shots, right? They have a pretty mediocre amount of mobility, 50 speed, same as you know, other wagon-type units, and seems like it's not tiring too quickly, which is nice. But you can see the Horsemasters there, horsemen rather, able to kind of catch up, get a little bit of damage in. It has just absolutely horrendous stats in melee. It really shouldn't be used in melee at all. Like even in a late game when it's completely out of ammunition. I mean, at that point though, its balance of power is basically gone, and that's an interesting thing to note here. The balance of power might look very much in favor of the Empire, and it's because these two units have so much ammo. As they use their ammo, though, if they're not able to kill enough to justify their value, or to, you know, do enough damage to this Chaos Army here, that balance of power will start to creep back as that ammo gets expended. But the Horsemasters now, using their kind of light cavalry ability, light cavalry in general just excels at this, but them hitting a little bit harder definitely helps to wrap up these various infantry support units. Also got the trusty horsemen, get in one volley and then immediately run away, so there's that. This is going to be a little bit of an extended late game kind of grind here. So we'll fast forward and just take note of the targeting here on where these Luminarks Luminark and the Blaster Wagon are going. Luminark is going after the Chaos Spawn, which I'd say is probably the right call. The Chaos Warriors should be the target for the Black Lions, the Hellblaster, which it looks like it is. Wei's doing a good job, though, of not getting overly blobbed up and just presenting like a really nice blob to fire into. The Black Lions don't have a ton of ammunition, and here, very nicely done, the Horsemasters actually come in, and using their melee stats are able to get in melee. Granted, not the best AP in melee. If we take a look here, 30 weapon strength overall is decent for a missile cavalry, but, 26 weapon strength. 6 AP is not amazing. I mean, they're going to grind against these wagons for a while, but they won't be able to get away. The wagons won't, because of the speed of these guys. So at this point, they're kind of stuck in combat here. They can try and pull away there, but that's just going to mean that the horse masters will continue following them, and like you'll see, they'll kind of get little charge attacks in there. Maybe not. Maybe they drop their attack order, which is fine. But demis come in. They're just too low at this point. Too low on HP. The Chaos Warriors and the Marauders, there's just too many of them, right? It's a numbers game. Even though the Demigryph Knights have pretty good stats overall. 38 defense, 41 attack. The defense for this price range is not amazing, but only 48 charge, right? So like they'll hit decently hard, not as hard as the Lance Demis, and it's just a lot less cost efficient. The fact there's so few of them and there's so many models of the Chaos Warriors means it's not great. You can see the Horsemasters continuing to deal with Black Lions there. The Luminark is, I believe, been chased off by... Oh no, it's right here. Duh, we just saw it. It's, yeah, we'll see. The Demis, interestingly enough, actually, like the Horsemasters at this point, can break their leadership and now chase them off as well. So these Horsemasters, this unit in particular, are going to be very key there. Unfortunately, they do get terrified while chasing a routing unit, which I don't really get. It's interesting how that can happen, but the Spawn hitting their charge animation, actually, like, keeping up. This guy, the run-in Spawn, oh yeah, look at that. Look at that run there. Nice charge animation. A one shot from the Hellblaster, and then they get in there and get another charge animation in. So those two Spawn just have an absolute time of their lives, if they can even be called living. Ooh, one of them, though, gets absolutely capped right there. He's like, hey, that was my buddy. We used to play, I don't know, checkers. Oh, yeah, and there is a unit of Flagellants over there as well. But you can see how the balance of power has kind of come back towards even as these units have expended, and as Wei's been able to clean up a lot of this Empire stuff. A lot of units have shattered and so on, and now with these Horsemasters and the Spawn, they can kind of catch the Luminark, finish it off, right? Do the same for the Black Lions eventually as well. So this will go on for some time. Black Lions are going to expend the rest of their ammunition, probably. Do a nice number on these Chaos Warriors here as they fight the Flagellants. Not doing too much friendly fire to the Flagellants, which is good. Some nice fire in the Chaos Warriors there, but the interesting thing about the Hellblaster, firing into the center of an infantry unit that's like spread out like that, you'll get decent value, but it's much better firing into like the blob or a flank where the scatter shots can all make contact. This one, it kind of ends up like chunking a hole, and since they all shoot the same place on the unit, like all the shots end up kind of overkilling one spot. Like you see how the shots just sail through the space that the units kind of leave as they get gibbed there. So yeah, that's one of the reasons, too, a lot of you pointed out, and I totally agree with in my organ gun video, why organ guns are better than Hellblasters, because their shots kind of spread out more, have a tendency to do so. See, like right there, that was nice, kind of spread to both sides of the unit. But at this point, really not looking great. Black Lions basically don't have any more ammo. They have like one volley left, so they're going to start trying to cycle charge, which is the right thing. I mean, they do have mass, so they don't really have great melee stats, but they do have some melee stats. They're maybe able to break some of these infantry, but not this healthy unit of Chaos Warriors. There's way too many models there. HORSEMASTERS are long gone, unfortunately, but there it is. So did I say that was way? I'm so sorry, Get It Mule. It was Get It Mule. My apologies, sincerest apologies. Very fun one, though, and credit to him staying tight. It's a little bit of a weird build to be put up against. A lot of people would probably get very frustrated at that turn of events, but credit to Get It Mule staying tight here, keeping all of his units together. And, yeah, just playing it smart, using these Marauder Horsemasters to great effect. Look at this one, man, 2,500 damage value. And I know a lot of that is kind of dealing with the two gun wagons, the two holy gun wagons, right? Which is, it does kind of make sense there. Same thing, these Marauder Horsemen were able to do some damage there, so they got some pretty good value. But, yeah, just in general, as kind of a hybrid missile melee cavalry, Horsemasters are one of the best. And this video is probably not about them specifically. I'll probably do a separate unit highlight on them specifically, but yeah, they were certainly a key factor in this game after Archaon got just unduly sniped there. Chaos Warriors did okay generally. Surviving until the late game is more or less what they needed to do here. The Hell Cannon had a pretty rough time for sure. For the Empire side, same thing. Franz definitely didn't pay for himself. This infantry as well kind of just got crumped. One of them actually did okay. One of these flagellants paid for themselves. Geralt of Griffites, despite getting 1,500 damage value, actually didn't pay for themselves, which is why you need support for these guys. Pistoliers, kind of just here. They got countered hard by the Horsemasters, and the gun wagons, of course, are where most of the damage value comes from. Almost 4,000 damage value on the Hellblaster wagon. Gotta start rolling this thing out again in my own builds, it looks like. And yeah, the Luminark actually does pay for itself, I believe. Let's check the cost on that. I don't remember 100% because I don't use these super often. I want to say it's 1,900 for this ROR. Yeah, it did actually pay for itself, but also cost the Empire player there quite a bit. I mean, Franz might have just died to the Javelins pretty soon anyway. He was very low on HP there, but definitely some chaos happening with that Luminark crew, so to speak. But yeah, it's interesting. These very expensive kind of gun wagon units can be hard to pay for themselves if you don't use the ammo right. And even if you do use the ammo correctly, and it pays for itself in a massive way, like we saw there with the Black Lines especially, Tempelhof actually did pay for itself too. You can still lose, and often you will still lose because you just don't have enough stuff on the battlefield, and that was definitely an issue with that Empire build. Of course, Magic would have heavily turned that around, and you wouldn't need much. Really, I mean, just cut one Pistolier and like you can take a caster with one spell. Like even just take literally only a Lore of Death caster, like the most boring thing you can, and just only take Spirit Leech. That's 300 points, right? You could easily just cut a Spearman for that. You could even take Fate of Una for 500 points if you want to like cut a Pistolier and a little bit of something else. Really not much. Definitely always want to have a caster. So there's that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.